Well, here we are again, Sunday from 1 to 3. I'm the David Paul Blumenshine, and this is the David Paul Blumenshine Show. And no, it doesn't get boring here at Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. And if you'd like to call in today, please use our studio line at 309-451-9299, or you can text us on our text line at 309-807-1600. We have a full lineup today, and the best part about it is we're going to have my good friend Darren Bailey in studio. Yeah, or well, he's not going to be in studio. He's going to be on the studio line. He's going to call in, and he's going to give us some insight to this upcoming bus tour, summer bus tour with Darren Bailey as he kicks off here in Normal at the Raider Farm from 6 to 8 tomorrow night. So we're super excited about that. Darren's going to, like I said, be with us. We're going to also query him a little bit about our next lead-in story, which is the Governor Pritzker and this rumor that we might be locking down again. And we already know, as Darren said Tuesday night, I was in an event with him, that the governor is in violation of the Constitution of Illinois. He stood and swore to uphold the Constitution, but yet he finds himself in direct opposition to that Constitution. He was found, he was ruled against July 2nd of last year, 2020, by Judge Michael McCaney in Clay County Courthouse, and that is yet to be overturned. I hear so many people say, well, but that only applied to him. No, it did not just apply to the or to Darren Bailey. That was the original lawsuit. Darren dropped that lawsuit and then refiled on behalf of all Illinoisans. And so when the judge ruled in favor of Illinois, and that the governor was indeed in direct opposition to his executive authority. Yes, we have talked about it many times here on this program, that the governor did have the emergency declaration of 30 days, but as of April 8th of 2020, he needed to recall back into session the General Assembly to truly rule on how we are to act. Now, you also might remember from one of my earlier shows towards the end of last year, if you were listening then, and if not, I'm going to give you some directive here. There is a document out there called the Emergency Pandemic Plan of May of 2014 that was adopted here in Illinois by our General Assembly. And if you go into like page 10 at the bottom, it talks about how it is that they were predicting this outbreak, which would basically walk itself out on the numbers according to what we're seeing today. So there is so much to talk about. We want to continue with the JB story and his lockdowns. Obviously, Governor Pritzker has announced that he will be running for office again, and that was just announced earlier last week, or earlier this week, I should say. We're here at Sunday, but as a person of faith, I consider Sunday to be the kickoff of the week rather than the end of the week, as some people do. But he announced that he will be getting back, or running again to retain his seat as governor of Illinois. Of course, before he did that, he pushed off to the school boards the option to address how they are going to open up. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We did have a school board meeting here earlier this week in Unit 5. District 87 has not come back together yet after their last school board meeting, where they voted to suspend a couple meetings until August. We're going to obviously find out when that next school board meeting is, because I'm sure it's going to be lively, because they're going to have to consider how they open up. In addition to that, we have Mayor Coos and the town council making decisions for the underpass. They have gone ahead and voted to approve the budget, or I should say the dollar amount that is needed, $24 million, $27 million. It seems to move around a lot. However, they did approve that, but they did not put a cap on that number. And Adam Kinzinger, good old Congressman Adam Kinzinger, is back in the news as he is come out on his social media page and basically has accepted the invitation by one Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, to be part of their witch hunt. I mean, I'm sorry, did I say witch hunt? Good old President Trump's coming out of me. Witch hunt, I don't know. What do you want to call this thing? But they want to have the select committee to investigate the January 6th event out in the Capitol where, you know, at what point are we going to realize that this party on the other side of the aisle is more about investigating through a stacked deck, no different than Adam Schiff and his whole Russia. But there's no real desire to get to the bottom of this because there are a lot of unanswered questions. I have a lot of
because they did it, DPP.
That's right. And you just heard that voice. That voice has not been, well, she was here a couple weeks ago with my daughter Hannah. Mm-hmm. And then she was off last week where we had Tony sitting in for Kat. But our very own Kat Peterson is back. She has returned from the Student Action Summit that was sponsored by Turning Point down in Florida. And we're going to look forward to hearing some of her stories. But say that again, Kat. You chimed in there.
Yeah, they have no real desire to actually get to the bottom of what happened on January 6th because they did it.
Yes.
Nancy Pelosi was the one behind it, not even the chief of the Capitol, the person who is supposed to be in charge of the security of the Capitol. He was being pulled and puppeted by Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker. So tell me why that's not being investigated. She has no authority over the security of the Capitol. She shouldn't.
Well, Kat, you know, many news media or media outlets had reached out upon our return trip from Washington, you know, here at the city's 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. And if you're just joining us, this is the David Paul Blumenshine show, and we do have a lot to talk about. It's, you know, I think, when I leave one show to enter into the next week and there's a good amount of time that passes, I always think, what will next show be about? Well, it doesn't take very long for it to be overwhelming on what we should cover. I mean, this being one of them that, you know, our state congressman here in the 16th district, Adam Kinzinger, I had to think about the district there because in light of the Fair Map Amendment and everything that goes on there, who knows who knows who's in what district?
Yeah. We won't know. I think we'll know in September, I guess. I don't know. This is Adam's last little hurrah, I think. I mean, him being on the commission and this is his last little hurrah. And I say this all of the time. Adam Kinzinger needs to stand up for himself. Like, they're drawing you out of your district, man.
Yeah.
Why aren't you mad?
I'd like to know. It's kind of similar to my comment to Adam on his own social media page. I don't know if Adam ever reads it. I think he does because at times somebody is responding on his behalf, whether that's actually Adam himself or as part of his staff. But I said, what world are you from, Adam, that you would believe that you could sit as an impartial committee member with your bias that you're so outspoken about? How does that even seem fair? And the fact that Speaker Pelosi has turned down Jim Jordan, our very own Rodney Davis from the 13th Congressional District here in Illinois. So, but getting back to what I said, upon returning, many media outlets had asked me about what I saw out in D.C., and it was 2 words: political theater. I mean, we hear nothing about this long line of white, limousine bus style vehicles with sirens and everything going crazy, screaming down Pennsylvania Avenue while the march that, you know, processed to the nation's capital, that for the most part, it had pretty much ended. Most of the people had gathered there, and the crowd was so large that it was city blocks away from the Capitol. That's where I was. I could see it off in the distance, probably about 3/4 of a mile away. But this entourage of, I don't know, I'm thinking it was 20, 30 buses with these white limousines, and it was really bizarro because it was like, why did they have white? And then the people on the inside for the most part, had dark clothing on. Where were they going? Well, I didn't see where they ended up going, but they were going towards the Capitol. They were like buses filled. Nobody reports about that. Because I also found it interesting, right about that time, we decided to head back to our very own charter bus and go to a Cracker Barrel. And as we walked back towards the White House and towards the Lincoln Memorial, here comes city buses filled with riot police. That was after the initial bus entourage
came in with all of the people in the dark clothing.
Yes.
You should, well, I was just in DC, so it's crazy that we're like talking about this right now, because now it looks it's so different. There's like these tunnels that they made. I don't know if it's like an escapee tunnel or like, you know, like for you to get out of the Capitol if you were actually in the Capitol. I think that's what it is. And like they built up the ground around the Capitol. There's this huge wall. Yeah, walls don't work, right, Joe? There's this huge wall around Joe's house there, the White House. And it looks so different now. And
it's political theater. Once again, this is all optics. They had an opportunity, which is the one thing I've pointed out over and over about my experience there with our Stop to Steal bus trip to DC on January 6th, is that I point out that the one thing I recognized immediately upon coming to where Pennsylvania and Constitution Avenue come together right there near the Capitol building, that there was no secured perimeter. And the irony is of it, 2 days later, they had 25 to 30,000 National Guardsmen erecting this.
Well, Trump asked for the National Guard and was denied.
Yes. But
are we going to investigate that? Who denied it? When? Why?
But
and we also, we have to talk about why that even happened in the first place. Why would anybody want to storm the Capitol and feel so strongly enough to storm the Capitol if whoever it was, you know? And we've gotten to this point where we don't feel in control of our government, and you have taken it away from us. The way the Capitol looks now, you can't even go in for Capitol tours. You can't look at the White House. You can't go anywhere. And it's scary. It's almost like a police state down there now. And that's frightening. And they used January 6th to do that. They want to make it a police state. They don't want anybody looking into the White House. They don't want anybody touring the White House because they know that they are trying to make us communist.
Well, and there are so many moving pieces to this thing, and it is crazy. And I know our very own Dan Bongino, we have a clip that we're going to play for you here in a little bit, that points this out, that Mark Zuckerberg was actually put on notice by the Federal Bureau of Investigations that stated that any information that came through the wires in regards, whether that's social media, big tech, the program, that anything that came through the wires about Hunter Biden and his involvement prior to the presidential election of 2020 was to be viewed upon as misinformation. So the FBI was already front loading this whole narrative. So the involvement of the Federal Bureau of Investigation in a lot of these things, especially now we're finding out they were present on the grounds at the Capitol on January 6th. Dan Bongino's calling for it to be disbanded, the entire Federal Bureau of Investigation. He thinks it is so corrupt. That's a word we like to use here at Cities 92.9 on the David Paul Blumenshine Show, because we know you're either fighting corruption or you're benefiting from it. We have too many elected officials who are just basically doubling down on the corruption that exists, not only at our very local levels, but at the state level. And when you say corruption seems like a very divisive word, because that's what it is.
That's their goal, is to divide. And we were talking earlier, DPPB, about the fear and the money and the control aspect of these corrupt politicians like Pritzker. That's all he's got to run on is fear. How else is he going to win re-election? You've put millions, you've put people out of work. You've put people out of work. You've taken everybody, all of our neighbors, your friends, that fun neighbor that you had at next door. They're gone because they left the state. They couldn't handle it anymore.
Well, in JB, you're right. Governor Pritzker is limited on how he goes ahead and moves forward, other than saying that he suddenly has received this windfall from the federal government, which instantly has cured the financial woes of the state of Illinois, which in of itself is a joke. There's no way that J.B. Pritzker has found a magic pill to cure the financial irresponsibility of the state of Illinois. But we're going to cover all that. As you can tell, Kat Peterson is back in studio. She is raring to go. We want to hear more about Kat's experience at the Student Action Summit down in Florida. I'm David Paul Blumenshine. Join us after the break. Well, we're off and running. As you can tell, our very own Kat Peterson is here, back with us in studio, and she has a lot of energy. I'm feeling it across the way from her. She's resonating, she's vibrating, she's hitting her. She's angry. And you know, so true. If you were with us before break, we've got so much to cover, and we have so little time. So we're going to try to go through this. We've got JB, and now his unconstitutional lockdown is what he's talking about. Another one. As if he didn't learn that the Honorable Judge Michael McCaney in Clay County Courthouse on July 2nd ruled that he was acting in an unconstitutional manner, which is the very thing that he pledges not to do by raising his hand and saying, I will uphold the Constitution of the state of Illinois and the federal government. We have our very own Mayor Coos here in the town of Normal and the town council adopting this runaway expense, this vanity project of a underpass, which, as pointed out by many, that if the sewers break and the sewers aren't fixed and flooding happens again, what's going to happen to that underpass? That's a good question. I'd love to hear the answer to that. Is it going to be perpetually underwater? Well, we know it's going to be perpetually underwater for a good amount of years, because if you have to borrow the money, or you have to come up with the 27 million, and once again, they haven't put a cap on that, then who's going to pay for that? It's pretty simple. We pay for that. Those residents of Normal will pay for a very long time for a vanity project when we already know that we're in debt. And when they talk about managing debt, that's not the job of the government. The government isn't about making money. They're about spending money. And whose money do they spend? They spend our money. We've got that to talk about. We also have our Darren Bailey. I always like to give the highlights and the upside of things. We have Darren Bailey, who is going to be starting his summer tour, bus tour. He is running for governor. Hopefully he will be the governor after the 2022 general election, or midterm election as they call it. But he's going to be with us, and we're going to ask him a little bit about what's happening with Governor Pritzker and his his edicts, his unconstitutional mandates, and how he sees that playing out.
It's never Pritzker's fault, and I don't know if you want to play this, but it's he's already spinning the lie. He's already spinning his lie. It's going to be Trump. It's going to be those rallies. It's Missouri, let's red state.
If you got it ready to go, let it roll.
Here he goes. It's never his fault, and he's already got his.
Pritzker is reserving the right to order another emergency shutdown if the pandemic resurges here.
Should that happen, the governor said the rules would be different than last year.
He talked about it in a one-on-one interview with our political editor, Mike Flannery.
The governor said he's concerned about one neighboring state in particular where the vaccination rate is far lower than in Illinois.
Missouri is a good example. That's the worst state in the nation right now. And it's right on our border, and it's pouring over, unfortunately, across the border.
Some Republican governors have explicitly ruled out another round of pandemic-related shutdowns in their states, something Pritzker said he won't do.
You can't say that. There were people last summer who thought that we should rule out a potential, additional mitigation. And you saw what happened in, September, October, November, December. I mean, it was worse than it was in April and May.
In any new pandemic-related shutdown, Pritzker promised better treatment for small retailers. They got clobbered financially last year, even as multi-billion-dollar big-box chain stores stayed open, treated as essential as long as they had even a small section selling groceries.
That when you walk into a Walmart, in addition to there being a grocery store, there's also other things that you could buy. And so I think certainly in retrospect now, I think what we would say is if you could have kept the capacity limit appropriate in a smaller venue, you might have kept that open.
After we come back from break, I'm going to unpack that. I feel like I'm watching a version of All-Star Wrestling. It's about as believable.
He's already trying to spin how this is going to work out and how the lockdown is going to play itself out.
Come back with us after the break, and I'm just going to dissect that a little bit for our governor. And we do appreciate you joining us here at Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Here at Cities 92.9, I'm David Paul Blumenshine. This is the David Paul Blumenshine Show, Sundays from 1 to 3. And yes, we put America first here at Cities 92.9. That's what we've been talking about. If you're just joining us, we have an action-packed show. I mean, it's coming at us so fast. We've got the energy of our very own Kat Peterson back in studio with us. She's bringing it. I'm sitting over here going, slow down to go fast. That's what I tell my daughter, Hannah. The two of them were together in studio a couple weeks ago in my absence, and I had to do everything I could as I was traveling back from Minnesota. I would turn down the volume on my phone because I was almost anxious about what they would say next. And if you've been with us for the past couple of weeks, we've had some young people in studio with us. We had John Peterson, the young man who joined the Navy. John spoke at the last Back the Blue event that we had in August at GE Park. Well, formerly at GE Park. It's now owned by the Police Benevolent of, I think it's the town of Normal and city of Bloomington, and maybe the McLean County. I can't say that for certain, but I know that our very own local police law enforcement has that facility, and they're going to have that again August 29th. And speaking of events, and I want to make sure I get this out, besides all the young people, my daughter, Kat Peterson, John Peterson, do that together. I almost got...
That's my brother's name.
And then I was calling John Jordan Peterson, which is a whole nother topic last. But, I mean, the amount of youth, and we want to get the Josh Benders and the Kevins, on this radio. Kevin and Josh did a show with me a couple months ago. Kevin is the chapter president for Turning Point USA. Josh is the Illinois State University Republican Party representative. He oversees that. In studio, we have a friend of mine. His name is Eric, and Eric is too in that demographic of 25 and below. And Eric's going to share with us a lot about this debacle of immigration and immigration reform. And so we're going to welcome him speaking about that. But as I said, I want to talk about Seats for Soldiers. We just had that event out at the Corn Crib on Thursday and Friday. The money that was raised there, we raised almost $27,000. I still think we're doing a little counting. I think it's going to end up right around there. But, our hats are off to all of you. The people who listen to Cities 92.9, the Magic 99.5, and the Bull 107.7, right? Did I get that right?
Yep, 107.7 and 92.1 the Bull.
Thank you, Kat. See, those are the things I am so focused on cities. Sometimes I forget about those wonderful stations that are our sister stations here at Great Plains Media. But we also want to give a special shout out to the sponsors. We had Miller Lite. We had Jarhead Construction, Ten-Tac Enterprises, and Pals, veterans right here, the Parkway Auto Laundry. they were so gracious. And the Raiders, don't forget the Raider Farms. Man, do they have amazing donuts. They were a sponsor of ours, and AB Hatchery, and the list goes on. And we're just so thankful to our sponsors, because we cannot provide this media source of conservative talk without our sponsors. So we're very appreciative to them. Obviously, that is big. That money, the $27,000, goes to Hope for Our Warriors. And they are right here in Central Illinois. It's the Central Illinois Veterans. And there's so many things that they do for our heroes, those people who have signed up to pay it all. I mean, that's the risk you take when you go into the armed services. You are putting yourself in a position that you might end up in harm's way. But also, if you don't end up in harm's way, you still have to process all that goes on. And some of those guys have seen a lot. Some of those gals, the men and women of our armed services, they've had to return and acclimate back into, mainstream life. And that's not always easy. And they can meet obstacles along the way, whether they have lost a limb in service, whether psychologically they have been affected by the impact of seeing what they see, hearing what they hear. I know myself, not being someone who has been in the armed services, but just my trips to third world countries and the psychological impact that has to see what you see. And that is a great way to kind of dovetail into my friend Eric. Eric, thanks for being with us in the studio today.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Eric, I had you come in here because you're a young man who I have met a lot of people in my time, but your story is pretty amazing. You have been in this country since you were a little over 1 year of age, or a little under one, right?
Couple of months.
Couple months old. You went through the public school system here in the Bloomington area, right?
Mm-hmm.
You graduated, and you have 3 other siblings. They were all born in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So they are citizens of the United States of America, correct?
I'm proud.
Yep, and proud. You happen to be one of the proudest Americans I've ever met that was not born in this country. And your story that to date you have yet to be able to attain citizenship. Help us put our mind around what that's like.
Well, there's a lot of angles you could look at it from, but, we were talking about the psychological toll of things, especially with veterans. It takes a lot to grow up in a country where you kind of have to fight every day to feel a part of it. And in a sense, it gives you a better appreciation of what it is that you're fighting for. The way I see it, I fight for, trying to become a citizen. I'm fighting for the values that our forefathers fought for. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. These values are timeless. But, getting back to the kind of how this all happened, I came here as a young child, and I grew up with some of the greatest people I've ever met. People who have been so charitable and generous. It's a true honor to be here in the States.
One of the things that really you've been able to impress upon me, Eric, and when Eric and I first met, I was substitute teaching at District 87, and he was, I think, either a sophomore or junior in a history class, and he was so versed in our history, American history, world history. He was very, presentation, optics, man. He showed up. He was ready to learn. He was timely. He was always sitting in his seat. He would wear a suit jacket a lot of days with a collared shirt buttoned down. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, this young guy. But then to learn through the years. So we have many years. My daughter Hannah is a friend of Eric's, sure. And Eric was in the theater program in chorus too. Did you do chorus or just theater?
No, chorus and speech and debate.
Okay, speech and debate. And so he was a friend of my daughter Hannah's, but we've grown this relationship. But then I learned that there was something that Eric was not sharing with me, and it was about this immigration thing and his citizenship. And Eric and I have had a lot of opportunities to talk about this. And to date, just in case you're wondering, we have Congressman Ronnie Davis's office is working to help Eric. Mm-hmm. We also will be calling in additional resources if needed, because Eric is the type of person who is going to lead this charge. We need to fix the immigration. We need to stop the double talk. We need to not hear Dick Durbin talk about it's all or nothing. I heard that the other day on the Senate floor. He said, well, we at least need to figure out some common ground. It shouldn't be all or nothing. Secure the border, then fix the process. He'd rather just start fixing the process. They've been doing that for years. But one of the things that Eric and I talk about is the political parties on both sides of the aisle use immigration as a prop, especially on the Democrat side. They master using the tools they play a chess game. They use immigration as pawns. They use labor unions as pawns. They use the coronavirus as a pawn. There is nothing that the politicians, the established Washington, D.C., Springfield, they don't do. They don't want to fix the immigration problem. They don't want to fix COVID. They do not want to fix most of what's out there.
Why? It's the fear. And correct me if I'm wrong, Eric. Is it the fear of what Democrats always say, and they're like, well, you need us. And I feel like that's fear mongering. And I feel,
absolutely.
How do you feel about that as somebody who is working towards their citizenship? A politician, somebody who has incredible wealth and power, telling you need me in order for you to succeed in this country. How does that make you feel?
Oh, well, it just feels, you're like a rabbit, and the politicians there with their carrot and the stick. You either vote for them because the carrot being an immigration bill or what have you, or you get the stick, you get deported, or you get just pushed along on the way, but no one cares about you. The thing that struck me is kind of proving that. You've heard Rahm Emanuel before. He says, never let a good crisis go to waste. This is the same stuff, whether it's COVID, whether it's immigration. Again, this is just a tool. All these things are tools, props, holding up the Democratic Party and other politicians as well.
Well, I'm David Paul Blumenshine, and you're here at Cities 92.9. And if you're listening to this segment of our show, I have my friend Eric, and he is talking about the very brokenness, and it's systemic, because this is everything. We talked about Adam Kinzinger accepting an invitation to be part of the select committee. We talked about Governor Pritzker mandating or putting forth another executive order for a lockdown, or potentially an executive order for a lockdown. He extended his executive order. Now he's talking about lockdown again. This all plays in. It's the sowing of seed to keep this web so ingrained and so woven that people like Eric, he loves this country. He's going to share something with us in a little bit when we come back from break, that he himself wrote. And he actually shared it with a group of us a couple nights ago. And it will impact you. So I want you to stay around for that. But more importantly, I want you to stay around for the rest of our show. We've got Darren Bailey. He's going to be on the line talking about his bus tour, but he's also we're going to query him about the governor and everything, that the governor is kind of doing, which is, once again, pure chess, pure political theater. It's not reality. What is reality is the flesh and blood that sits here in studio with me, not only our very own Kat Peterson, but my friend Eric, who wants nothing more than to become a citizen of the United
States country.
That's right.
And that's the conservatives' message. And that's where I think the left and the right are totally on different sides of the issue, and the right is becoming, and is, I will say it right here on Cities 92.9, the right is the party of love. The conservative party is the party of love.
And we're the party of the working class. We don't use unions as props or the immigration policy or COVID-19. Hey, we've got a lot to cover here at Cities 92.9. As you can tell, it's a action-packed show, and we're going to continue that on the other side of the break. I'm David Paul Blumenshine. Come back and join us after the break. The best is yet to come. That is what we're talking about here at Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm David Paul Blumenshine, here on Sundays from 1 to 3. And if you were with us before break, and if you're not, I'm going to kind of recap things. We have in studio a friend of mine. His name is Eric, and he has been battling the obstacles that have been put before him here in our country to become a United States citizen. There's nothing that Eric wants more than to become a United States citizen. In fact, I promised before going to break that Eric was going to share something. So Eric, I know this is going to be tough, but I want you to share what you put down and how you came about putting that down.
Sure. Well, to kind of preface this, I can tell you the first time I became really proud and aware of, this American identity within me. It was, in Bent School, elementary. I was going to the library, and I've always been fascinated with books, and especially history. And I took a look at the history section, and there was a book about World War II. And then it hit me, just looking at the pictures and the text, it was remarkable, seeing how in the darkest days of humanity, you had a country and a series of people dedicated to preserving liberty for the people all over the world, preserving that light and beacon of freedom. And that inspired my vision, and it has always inspired my vision about America, about what America is. I think of it as America the Beautiful. Picture in your mind for a moment a vast and beautiful nation stretching from the waters of the Potomac to the hills of Hollywood, full of friendly, wise, and good-hearted people. Envision now an exceptional nation guided by a destiny forged by brave men and women of all stripes, pursuing life, liberty, and happiness. It's a nation of freedom, justice, wealth, and opportunity. A place where you're not defined by your past, leaving it behind if you so desire. A place where you're not defined by indelible differences, overcoming the tides of adversity if you so desire. A place where discord gives way to camaraderie, by a people respectful of the livelihood of every man, whether rich or poor, young or old. This is a country welcoming, traditional, pleasant, built by pioneers, slaves, and survivors, atop the values of family, love, and the golden rule. This is what America could be, what it's meant to be, and God willing, what it will become.
Wow. We are going to grab a copy of that and put it up on our social media page. I should say with Eric's permission. Eric, can we put that up? I would like you to reflect upon those words. They are so impactful, so powerful. We hear a lot of people talk the talk. In fact, that is most of what we see in our world today, is a lot of people talking and not a lot of people doing. And it wasn't that shoe company that came up with Just Do It. It actually was our very own Bible. That is the essence of all books. And it, in the context of what Eric just shared, it talks about biblical values, just like our Constitution. I couldn't help but think about when Eric was talking earlier that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's Constitution. We see our leaders. We see those people who are elected to hold office, to to represent the people of not only the town of Normal, city of Bloomington, McLean County, and all 102 counties in Illinois, but the state of Illinois, the United States of America. And are they truly holding these truths to be self-evident? Because as we've shared with you, we have gentlemen like Governor Pritzker, who has no problem circumventing the Constitution. He's been told that. We have a congressman here in Illinois, Adam Kinzinger, who's more than willing to play pawn in the game of Nancy Pelosi politics. That's not representative of the people of Congressman Kinzinger's district. People want the truth. We talk about the truth here at Cities 92.9. Mm-hmm. That's all we want to uncover. Dan Bongino says, if we can't talk about it, then what are we doing? And with that, we know you can reach Dan Bongino here at Cities 92.9 every day. He's here with us from 11 to 2. We're going to be back in a minute, and we're going to continue to unpack all this craziness going on here in the state of Illinois and beyond. I said it once, I'll say it again, the best is yet to come. Hey, I'm David Paul Blumenshine here on the David Paul Blumenshine Shows. You can find us at Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal, every Sunday from 1 to 3. We also love it when you guys call in and participate. You can do that by calling our studio line. It's 309-451-9299. Or you can text us. In fact, I'm going to put out a little challenge here on the text line, 309-807-1600. If someone can tell me the young man's name that I have in studio that was talking about immigration and the brokenness of our immigration system, if you can text us and let us know his first name, because we've only used his first name in order to protect Eric and his story. And I did put that out there on our Cities 92.9 social media page on Facebook. But if you can tell us, did I give it away? I might have.
It's okay.
So if you can still recall the name of the gentleman that I did just allude to, I will give you a free copy of Mark Levin's book. It is, I think it's up to number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list.
It sure is. This book is absolutely amazing. If you have not read it, you need to. It dives into Marxism, and it's like living out your life. It really is. It's like living out like, oh my goodness, this is what's happening in our schools. This is what's happening in my day-to-day life. I love Mark Levin. You can also catch him here on Cities 92.9.
We'll give you a copy of Mark's book. You can pick that up Monday through Friday from 10 to 3. You just we'll take your information, we'll get it down, and that way it'll be at the front desk for you. But if you're with us earlier today, and if you weren't with us earlier today, I'm going to give you a recap of it anyhow. We've been talking about Governor Pritzker and his announcement to get back or to try to retain his seat. I don't know if he's ever actually had the governor's seat as much as he has had the ruling of our state by executive order and edict. That's been most of his tenure as our governor. Instead of governing, he's actually ruling because he is unwilling to participate in the constitutional process of the state of Illinois. That was proven in a courtroom last year, July 2nd. Judge Michael McCaney found the governor acting in an unconstitutional manner, and therefore the governor could fix it quickly by just bringing back the General Assembly and changing the law rather than dictating the law to the people of Illinois. We're going to have Darren Bailey, who is a gubernatorial candidate. He's going to call in, and we're going to talk a little bit about his bus tour that he's going to embark upon tomorrow night. He kicks that off at the Raider Farms. It's from 6 to 8, and you can go out to our event page, and there's information about that. We'd love to have you come out. I will be there, and our very own Ty Smith will be there, too. And he is going to be speaking. I hear rumor that Representative Chris Miller, Representative Blaine Wilhauer, Representative Holbrook, and Representative Calkins will be joining us tomorrow night also. So we've got a big lineup for you tomorrow night at the kickoff of Darren Bailey's summer bus tour as Darren, BaileyForIllinois.com. And Darren is dynamic, and I look forward to talking to him. But we also covered Maricus in the town of Normal and the underpass that is obviously going to burden the taxpayers of Normal for a long time to come, for a vanity project, when there's so many other ways that we could secure our financial future here in the town of Normal. We talked about Adam Kinzinger, and Adam has been selected by Nancy Pelosi. Surprise, surprise, surprise. She refused Jim Jordan. She refused our very own Rodney Davis, but she has selected Adam Kinzinger, and he has accepted her invitation to be part of the January 6th special committee to investigate what happened that day. And if she really wanted to know, she could call me, or she could just come in studio with us. We'd love to have Nancy Pelosi here at Cities 92.9. In fact, I would even challenge, we'd love to have Representative Adam Kinzinger anytime in studio or on the phone. He can call in and we can talk about this particular selection of his. But the big thing that I kind of want to get to this hour is President Trump versus President Trump's rally last night versus Joe Biden's town hall. I know, Kat, we've got a little clip here.
We sure do, of Trump.
And we're going to play this for you because this is the end of his speech last night. President Trump spoke to a packed house in Arizona. He had all of the, well, I'm not going to say all of the members, but a lot of the people who were involved in the audit there in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And he was really appreciative to their efforts to get to the bottom of this. We know something happened. We've talked about it nonstop since the election, that something happened that evening. And everybody, no different than the 6th of January, we want to get to the bottom of it. We want the truth. And that's the only thing we have is the truth. But President Trump spoke for almost 2 hours.
I mean, this man has so much energy and so much, and it comes from Christ. It does. And it comes from being a man of faith. And everybody always asks me, they're like, Katrina, so why do you keep going? And what gives you the energy? And I just point up. I point up. And I honestly believe that that's why Trump takes to so many Americans, because he understands that all of our constitutional rights and God-given rights, it comes from God, our Judeo-Christian values. And that's what we've got to stick by.
Well, and you said it best. I mean, everything is woven into who we are. You know, just like I said, government is woven by deception and corruption. President Trump refers to it as the swamp, and he's right. He has exposed that like it's never been exposed before. None of us were at this point with the information we had about our current governmental system before Trump. He has basically, when we talk about pulling back the curtain, he tore the curtain off the stage and exposed those folks for who they are. And that's what they're scared of. And it's scary when the light's been shone upon you. And that's what we believe as faithful people. I do know that when President Trump speaks of the best is yet to come, he understands what the promise is of the second coming of Christ, which is something that we do not make any apologies for here at Cities 92.9 on my show. I'm a faithful person. Obviously was in church this morning, had some good tidbits. In fact, I'll give you this one. If you want to know God's will is His Word. Study that. Because His Word encompasses the beginning of time to the end of time. And all things in between. Is it political? Oh yeah. Is it about economics? Yep. Can it cover marriages? Yep. Can it cover how to raise kids? Yep. It does that too. There is not one thing that you would encounter today that can't be found in the context of the Holy Bible. That's my little side note. And I know the president truly adheres to that too. You know, I'm not here to question that or understand his faith. That's his faith journey, not my faith journey. I can tell you about my faith journey. In fact, I try to do that a little bit here on Sundays from 1 to 3 at Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. But Kat, you've got that clip of the end of his speech yesterday?
I sure do.
All right, here we go.
So, my fellow Americans, our movement is the greatest in American history. There has never been a movement like we have had. We won the most important election, 2016. We did more than any other administration has ever done, and we did it quickly. We're not going to let it be taken away from us.
Oh, it cut off there. Nope, it's back.
The 2022 midterms are the next phase of the battle, and we will not stop there. We will keep on going until we have made America great again. With your help, we will take back the House, we will take back the Senate, and we will take back that beautiful, gorgeous White House, and we will take back our country. So working together, we will make America powerful again. Thank you. Thank you. The whole country is watching. The whole country is watching what you have done. Thank you. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you to Turning Point. Thank you.
That is what we mean by the best is yet to come. We know this to be true. That our world is safer, stronger, more philanthropic, better off when we have a strong, vibrant United States of America. There's no question about that. The shenanigans, the debacle, in contrast to what we have seen over the last 6 months with Joe Biden in office.
You know, and I always ask myself this. I'm like, well, why didn't Trump win? Why would God let this happen to our country? And I did. I mean, when January happened and, he was inaugurated, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I was like, why would God want this for our country? What is going on? And then I'm just like, it's his plan. He needs to wake people up. This is why he placed the Biden administration in the place that they're in. I mean, going down to D.C. and actually seeing it in person, you can see it's a police state. And this is the direction. It's Marxism. It's communism. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. And that's what God had in store. He needed to wake people up.
And go ahead.
When you're thinking about America's role in the world, what our place is as a country, as a people, I take heart in one thing. Even with all the terrible things that are going on in our government and our news media, if you look at Cuba, Venezuela, Hong Kong, people out there are marching and fighting for their freedoms. The ones we share, the ones we hold for the moment, that we fight for. They're not flying the Chinese flag. They're not flying the Cuban flag or Venezuelan flag. They're flying the American flag, the stars and stripes. Because our values, that's what that does. It's the light, the beacon. We are the shining city on a hill. We are the grand experiment. And it's up to us to keep that. Mm-hmm. And our elected officials, with 2022 in mind, when you're electing officials, keep in mind that you're electing them to represent not only policy, but you're electing them to represent the American way. More importantly, the promise of the American dream.
Wow. That is intense. If you're hearing that voice, that is our newest co-host.
Our co-host for today.
Yes, our co-host for the day. We have my friend Eric in studio with us. And if you want to know a little bit more about Eric, go to our social media page at Cities 92.9 on Facebook. I put up Eric's wonderful statement, this prose that he put together that really truly defines what this country is about, what his aspirations are, about a young man who has been in this country since almost birth. He was born in Mexico, but came here shortly after, went through school, our public school system, graduated, and now has the bigger dream ahead of him, which he already considers himself an American. I don't know how you would consider yourself anything less than that, because you personify the American dream. You are quintessential everything that we have an immigration process in place for. Why have we made it so difficult? Why have we corrupted it so badly? Because we are not securing the border right now. We have an open border policy. That is what Joe Biden put in place from day one of his presidency, and yet we deny the access to people from Cuba who are truly, truly fleeing persecution.
A terrible shame.
It is a terrible shame. It's ridiculous, and we continue to see these bumbling people. Well, we're going to hit upon that when we come back from break. I'm David Paul Blumenshine. We're going to continue on this journey with Darren Bailey after break. Yes, here we are at Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm David Paul Blumenshine. We're here every Sunday from 1 to 3. Across the way, working that magical board is Kat Peterson. Also in studio with us is my friend Eric, and you've heard a little bit from him. If you're wondering if I put that up on our social media page, I did. Eric read this nice prose that he came up with that defined everything that our country is and should be. And it just struck me during the break. One of the things I keep hearing about the grand old party, the Republican Party, is people say, where are the young people? And I heard Kat state, she goes, I don't even know if I consider myself a Republican. And I know that to be true, held true by a lot of people, because it is defined by grand old party, and you go to some of these events and it is a lot of elderly people. And they ask, where are the younger people? And here's the thing. I put upon my to-do list, I put it upon one of my core values to go out and build a bench. I put it out there to go out and meet, I always say this, I have all these little things that I constantly am telling my wife and my daughters, make a friend, be a friend, lead a friend. For me, that means lead a friend in life. Meet people. The young people are out there. They're starving. If you can't tell that by our show, when we had Kat Peterson and my daughter Hannah doing the show 2 weeks ago, the guests that we had last week, and John Peterson, Tony ran our board. The young people are starving for leadership, real leadership. Not this hokey pokey that goes on in Springfield and D.C. and sometimes, most of the time, down here in chambers at our town council or city council. This is ridiculous. Where are the young people on our town councils? Where are young people on our county boards? Where are young people in Springfield? Where are young people in the federal government? That's what I want to see. These guys have more of a vested interest in what will become our country. And they're going to inherit this. And they're watching this. And they see it. And they're calling it out. And I love it. Once again, I set out to build a bench. And that bench keeps getting deeper and deeper with young people who are a lot more versed and a lot more talented than I am. It's inspiring. You probably know young people. And you know what? You're going to see some of those young people tomorrow night at the Raider Farms. We invite you to come on out. Darren Bailey is going to be with us here shortly. He's going to call in to studio, and we're going to talk to Darren about not only tomorrow night's event, but his run for governor.
I'll also chat a little bit tomorrow. Tune in the morning, 6 to 9. Scott Robbins, he's going to be on vacation. It's going to be me, and I'm going to have a few guests, and we're going to dive into all things Turning Point USA, young people. I met a couple of Cuban Americans down in Florida. I mean, they are just everywhere. And I went to D.C. and I ran into our lovely Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, and we heckled her. And we're gonna have a lot of fun tomorrow morning. So be sure to tune into that. We're gonna have a lot of young conservatives on, and you're gonna hear what we want and what we need to do moving forward as the Republican Party.
See, this is news to me, Kat. See, you didn't invite me to come on your show tomorrow.
You want to come on?
No, Kat. You have a full lineup, and I've got other things I've got to get done tomorrow with this big event coming tomorrow night. But it's good to hear that, Kat, because I was hoping maybe today that we would have gotten a little bit more into your experience down in Tampa at the Student Action Summit sponsored by Turning Point. But it sounds like you've already got a show planned out, so I'm good that we didn't get to that today because we'd hate to give away your material. But hey, we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we are going to have Senator Darren Bailey, hopefully the next governor of Illinois, on the telephone line with us, and he's going to give us some of his insights to what's currently going on, and also talk a little bit about his bus tour that he's going to embark upon starting tomorrow night. We're going to do that after break. We do appreciate you joining us here at Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Well, that was more like 4 minutes. We have on the phone one of my favorite elected officials ever, Darren Bailey of the 55th Senate District here in Illinois, soon to be the next governor of the state of Illinois. Darren, can you hear me okay?
Hey, I can hear you just fine, sir.
How about that for an introduction?
That's a pretty awesome introduction. I appreciate that, friend.
My friend over across the way, Kat Peterson, was just saying how much she enjoys it when you say you're next governor.
Well, I love it.
I think it's going to happen. I mean, it's just there's too much.
I think it's already happened, Darren. I live for your social media, and if I want to know anything going on in Springfield, and it's kind of funny, shouldn't the governor be the one that's communicating with the people?
Thank you very much.
Not just one Illinois senator. I don't know. I just feel like I know everything that's coming out of Springfield because of you.
Well, and the thing is before we get going too far along the road here, Kat, I want to make sure we talk about tomorrow night's event at the Raider Farms. We have the kickoff of the summer tour, the summer bus tour for Bailey for Governor. It will promptly start at 6. We'll try to get you out of there maybe at 8, maybe a little after. It's going to be a beautiful night. We have planned a lot of things for tomorrow night. Our very own Ty Smith is going to be there speaking. And so it's going to be a great evening. Darren, why the bus trip now? What do you plan to accomplish with this bus tour?
Well, just to pretty well build upon everything that Cindy and I have been working, our team have, for the last several months. We're just buzzing all over the state, visiting new friends, continuing to educate and empower how we take back Illinois in 2022. And the bus trip, we're going to have several friends on board with us, other state representatives, and we're just going to try to hit all key spots of the state, so that if anyone, wants to see us in these areas, they won't have to drive very far to see us. But if you miss it, these several stops, we've got 9 stops over the next 4 days. I assure you that Cindy and I are going to be in your area sometime, over the next year, probably multiple times.
It has been guesstimated that you and your wife and your team, and full disclosure here to our audience, and we're hoping that all of you can be out there tomorrow night at the Raider Farms. If not, there are 9 stops. We have them up on our social media site. They're also, if you go to Darren Bailey for governor on his social media page. You can see it there. But in the spirit of truth and honesty and full disclosure, I am a regional coordinator for the Bailey for Governor campaign. So if it sounds like I might be a little biased, it is because I am. I truly believe what you just said, Darren, is that it has already happened. I think to see this in process, you will be the next governor of the state of Illinois. It is time. I think that the conclusion of bad government is coming to an end. I think there is a true resetting, a restoration of people across not only the state of Illinois, but across the United States of America. I think we were talking off air, Darren, and it's funny that we have these conversations in studio and they're so poignant that we, the people, are finally becoming awake. We're rising up. We're coming to these events that you and Cindy have been part of. Real people desiring what the truth, honesty, liberty, freedom. Is that what you're feeling out there when you go to these different events and stops?
Well, definitely, and that's actually what, that's the reason we're doing this. I can remember back a year ago after the lawsuit of winning that lawsuit over Governor Pritzker, traveling across the state to reopen rallies, reopen school rallies, church rallies, visiting with friends and hearing the encouragement and the hope and the passion. And, Cindy and I began then to wonder if something else was on the horizon, because I'm still just running for a Senate then. But, if we can stop the wasted resources of Republicans, and if we can, get behind, the right candidate the first time, I think that could help us across the state take representative seats, take Senate seats, take all the, the public, every electable position in the state of Illinois has got to be filled in 2022. And if you're not being called to run for one of those positions, then, join our team, get behind, help someone out in a local race. And, that's 22 is it for Illinois. We have got to be able to accomplish this.
Well, it's funny that you bring up the issues of truly getting involved, taking action. We talked about that. The Bible speaks specifically about that. It says, be a doer of the word. It says, engage. I know listening to you and hearing you speak at these different events, you're always encouraging others to take part in the governing process. That if it's going to be, it's truly up to all of us to get involved, to dive in. Yeah, it's not easy. There's no way is it, but I'll tell you, it doesn't have to be easy. You're going to feel this unbelievable sense of relief because now you're taking an active role in restoring our government. The governor has already tipped his hand. We played a clip from the governor earlier where he has gone ahead and extended his executive order, which we talked at great length about already today on our show, that I was in the courtroom on July 2nd of 2020 when Judge Michael McHaney ruled that the governor was outside of his authority and was basically, ruling rather than truly governing, because he has not called back into session the General Assembly to make some decisions, legislation in regards to the pandemic and all things of the COVID crisis. And now he is kind of, leaning towards another lockdown, talking about how the other states bordering us are spiking in their cases and we don't want those people traveling into our state. How do you see the governor's actions lately? And is this just pure desperation? Does he truly have a platform outside of fear?
I'm in the middle of reading Mark Levin's book, American Marxism, I think's the name of it.
Hey, wait a second, Darren. We're trying to give a copy of that book away right now on the air, and I just handed it to my friend Eric, who has joined us in studio. So you're reading American Marxism, but keep going. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, I'm on the road so much. I have a copy of the book that was given to me about 2 weeks ago when we were on one of our stops. So, but I do have to listen to it on Audible because I've got many calls to make and too much other stuff to do when I'm sitting when I could be reading. But yeah, it's concerning. So I don't know if Governor Pritzker's, I think he's confused. I think he's operating in a fear. But I think more importantly, there is certainly an agenda, to take these freedoms from us. I spoke at Ebenezer Methodist Church in Wayne County this morning, and it's no wonder that people like Governor Pritzker would place people in places of leadership and education and then begin to erase our history. We're a country founded on, people fleeing from religious persecution. We're a country founded on, religious freedoms. Where all these freedoms that we enjoy, are at risk of being taken away. And this book tells us very pointedly the history of those countries that this has happened in before. And it happens very rapidly. And we are on the cusp of that happening again here in America. And I can't imagine any American or Illinoisan sitting out there right now and truly desiring the results of a Cuba or Venezuela or in some of these other countries. They're being led astray by the promises of listen to the governor's message. $700,000 spent for a 10-day campaign ad of convincing everyone that he was their great protector over the last year, and I just find that appalling. As do so many. In fact, the gentleman in studio with us, Eric, was just talking about that earlier, that you look at the country of Venezuela, of Cuba, of China, in Hong Kong, these protests, they're not waving their national flag, they're waving the American flag because they know what it stands for, the meaning behind it. We are one nation under God. They see the sense of everything that comes with. That's why so many people leave their countries to come to America, is because of freedom, is because of liberty. And what the governor is trying to encompass with these edicts and these lockdowns is to restrict freedoms. We were talking about the inner city, Darren, and I know you've spent a lot of time in Chicago in the last, year. I mean, they say, those people are saying, the people on staff with you are saying you've put in almost 50,000 miles. But look at the inner city of Chicago. When they talk about, Candace Owens refers to it as a plantation, they have restricted the freedoms. They have promoted, what was it, Eric? Violence? Your stool?
The three-legged stool of the Democratic Party's machine. It's racism, violence, and poverty. And they continue to keep people in that sort of sense of being. And that's why this fight that's coming up in 2022, it's more than just a fight. It's a crusade to set our people free.
I like that. I think that's what Stand For You in 2022. I don't know if you heard that motto or not yet.
Yeah.
It's the governor's motto. I mean, senator's motto.
I consider him my governor.
Can I call him?
I really do.
Can we just make him the governor before 2022?
All right here, City's 92.9.
Executive decision.
Our governor, Darren Bailey, everyone.
That's right. We'll
announce it. Continue to educate you each and every day as the governor should, because I jokingly contend that you sat in front of, I've said this many times, and let's put this in perspective, that if you literally went in and turned the TV station on, sat in front of CNN for the next 7 days, for the next 24 hours, you're going to come out of that ring different. So let's think about what Governor Pritzker's been doing. He's been just preaching fear every single day for over a year now. So, the message, it's just a simple psychology that when you continue to hear that message, people are going to buy into it. And unfortunately, that's what's happening.
And to back that up with facts, here's the thing. I saw this report released by our very own Dr. Tom Pelura, and he has been on the front line of treating coronavirus here in Champaign, in the Leroy area, and in the Bloomington Normal area, testing. He said, look at the science. John Hopkins just released it. No, ICU beds are not overfull. No, the caseload isn't increasing. The fact that there are other variants, we are built to handle those. Hey, Darren, can you stay with us through the break real quick?
Sure.
All right. We're going to hold Darren Bailey on the line with us. I'm David Paul Blumenshine here at Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. We are just getting started here at Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm David Paul Blumenshine, and with us on the phone is Senator Darren Bailey, soon to be the next governor of Illinois. Darren, thanks for being with us today.
Well, it's always an honor. Thank you for what you guys are doing on your radio show. Keep up the messaging, and I look forward to the days when we can start talking about the real issues of Illinois, the violence in Chicago, the high gas tax, the education, getting real problems taken care of instead of just fear mongering continually.
Well, and you do a great job at that. And tomorrow night you're going to be from one farmer to another. We have from the Bailey Farms to the Raider Farms, and our audience knows about the Raider Farms. It's a destination spot. We're going to be there from 6 to 8, and Darren Bailey, our very own Darren Bailey, is going to be there. I can say our very own Darren Bailey because he spent a lot of time here in Cities 92.9. So Darren, and you've got a couple other representatives are going to join you. Ty Smith's going to be there. We do have about 300 box lunches that will be given away free to the first 300 people because we don't know what to expect. I'm expecting a very big crowd. It's going to be a beautiful evening so far. Let's continue to pray that we will have good weather for tomorrow. And if not, we pray that God reigns, right?
Yeah. I love that.
Hey, my friend, I don't know if you heard it earlier, but on our show, we do not shy away from the fact that we are faith-based, here, myself. God's will is His word. And I believe His word has been delivered to you, my friend. I know you're one of the busiest people right now in the state of Illinois. It is admirable the amount of work that you and your wife have put in and the rest of the team on trying. I think I've said it. I know you and I have talked about this. With God's help, together with God's help, we can save Illinois.
That's right. This started out as a journey, kind of a mission field for Cindy and I just to save the state for our 4 children and our 10 grandchildren so they could, live and thrive around us. But every day, literally every day, we hear another story that just gives us, the motivation to keep working. So you're exactly right. God does indeed place leaders. I believe that. Proverbs 28:2 says that when there's moral rot in a nation, its government topples easy, but wise and knowledgeable leaders bring stability. So I think I and the many that He adds to us in 2022, we will bring restoration back to this great state.
That is Darren Bailey, BaileyForIllinois.com. If you would like to get a ticket, you can do so at Bailey for Illinois, or you can go to Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. We have that on our events page. Get your ticket. Thank you, my friend. Godspeed. I know you got to jump on another call, but we always do appreciate it when you take part at the David Paul Blumenshine Show.
I always appreciate the opportunity. God bless you, and see you tomorrow night. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
We'll see you soon. There it is. There it is. Hey, we're coming off of an amazing event, Seats for Soldiers. You guys, our audience, participated in this event.
Mm-hmm. Always answering the call, McLean County. With
the sponsors of Miller Lite, Jarhead Construction, Ten-Tac, and Pals, Parkway Auto Laundry, and the masses. Almost $27,000 is what we're able to turn over. 100% of those donation goes to Hope for the Warriors to support Central Illinois veterans. Hey, I'm going to tell you, we are just getting started. The best is yet to come. Here at Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal, we know we're the voice of conservative values. Dan Bongino, Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, we have it here for you. We need you to continue to let us know if there's anything else we can do to help continue this messaging of conservative values, core values. Without you, we couldn't do it. Appreciate you joining us here every Sunday from 1 to 3. I'm David Paul Blumenshine, and until next week, we say goodbye.